Hey, this is Mr. Lamb, and today we're going to take a look at the user interface of Adobe Illustrator. First thing we're going to do is we're going to open up a file. So hopefully you should have gone to the class website and downloaded the appropriate file for the exercise. If you haven't, go ahead and pause, download the file, and then pick up from there. I'm going to go ahead and open the file from either here under Open or right here in our application bar. I'm going to open. My setup's going to look maybe a little bit different from yours. You just want to go to the location that you downloaded the file at. I've got mine right here, vector sample. I'm going to open that. I'm going to hold down the space bar, and if you notice as I hold the space bar down, I get this little bitty hand icon where my mouse is. If I hold down the space bar and I click and I drag, I can grab the file and kind of move it around within the document window. It's very helpful to know, something that you should remember, so make sure you write that in your sketchbook. If you hold down spacebar, you get your grab tool. Okay, so we're looking at our user interface. We've kind of gone over this in class a little bit, but it's going to make sure that now that we have a visual, we can really kind of pick it apart and examine it. Our first bar is the application bar located at the top. It allows us to save our file, to print, export, do a bunch of different things with it. We can also undo, redo, cut, copy, and do a lot of things to our actual objects. If you go here to objects also, it's our next option. We have a bunch of different distortions and different ways we can alter our objects. We have type options, different ways to select, different effects that can be applied, different ways to change your view in the document window or in the user interface, and the window is probably one of the most important things to remember about the application bar, is that it has the window selection right here. The window selection is very important because it has a list of different panels that we use to create our graphics. So if you're missing a panel, you'll find it here under window. If we go to the right a little bit more, we have the arrange documents icon. That's something that's very handy too. If you have multiple files open, it'll allow you to tile them in a specific arrangement. Very handy. And next to that, we have our workspace preset tool. So if you ever get into Illustrator and your workspace isn't set up properly, or if you start a tutorial here with the video lectures and your workspace doesn't look quite like mine, all you have to do is click on this and click on Essentials again. We'll always be starting out with Essentials for our workspace. There are other workspaces that are available that are geared towards specific activities, but for our current needs, we're going to use Essential. Alright, below that application bar we have our control bar, and you notice right now we have a few different options. We have the select tool currently engaged, meaning that the control bar is showing options for specifically for the selection tool, excuse me. If I go down here, maybe click on text, you'll see that our type tool, you'll see that we have options for actual type. So the control bar is very important because it's tool dependent on its contents, and you're going to need to pay attention to what's up there because it's going to be really helpful. So since we've already kind of used our tools as an example, the next location that we're looking at is the toolbar located on the left. A bunch of different icons, and it's broken up to several different categories. Some of the main ones though are our selection tools, which are located in this very top section, these 4 tools. If you notice, the direct select tool has a little black arrow, and so do several other tools. The little black arrow lets us know that specific tool has subtools. To engage the subtools, you just click and hold down the mouse button over that tool, and you'll get the options that come up. While you're still holding the mouse, you just release on the tool that you like. So if you're looking for a specific tool and you just can't seem to find it, even though you know it should be over here, chances are is that you have a subtool selected in its place, and that you just need to go back and reselect the right one. Alright, so moving alongside here, let's go to the right now. Looks very similar. We have icons over here. Yours might look something like this. That's okay. This section is called this section is mostly for our panels. And panels are all these little bitty selections that we have here. And the selections are used to customize our artwork and our features that we have in our document window. So it's very important that we kind of know how to navigate these. If you're ever missing one, again, you would go up to Window and you would locate the appropriate panel, click it, and it would check it and it would pop up in your workspace. So it's very important. We'll go over the individual panels more as we work along. Alright, the next spot we're going to look at is the actual middle. I'm going to select my selection tool. You can either click on it in the toolbar, or as you see if I have mouse over, you can hit the V button to use the quick key. So in our center area we have the document window. This is where all our work takes place. You'll notice that we have a nice large white rectangle. This is our artboard. It's very important that we realize that the artboard is where our actual artwork is going to show up. Everything outside of the artboard we can work on, but it's not going to show up on the actual artwork. So this can be a good place to put things off to the side if you're working on something and you don't want to show up on the artwork, but you don't necessarily lose it for the project. You would just use this space outside of the artboard. Alright, and located at the very bottom we have our status bar. It tells us information about our actual document in here, what level zoom we're at, which artboard we're currently on. Right now we only have one artboard, so it only shows one, and it also lets us scroll left and right. Alright, I want you to hold down Control and spacebar at the same time. That's another quick key we're going to need to learn for navigation purposes. If you notice while I'm holding those two keys down, we get a little magnifying glass with a plus sign that allows us to zoom in. Again, if you just let go of that and hold the space bar, you get your grab tool and you can slide the artwork around so you can kind of better see what we're working with. We're looking at 3 different graphics, and the very basic, very simple graphics. I just want us to kind of examine them individually and understand how the basics of graphic design work. So if I go to the first one and I make sure I have my selection tool selected and I select one of the objects in it, you see that I can pull the graphic apart. It's made up of separate shapes or objects that are arranged together to produce the outcome of the artwork. So our planning really has to be centered around how objects work together and how we can fit them together and things like that. If you have any experience with Photoshop, it's very, very different. The second one, again, you pull them apart. I want you to notice that this blue one's transparent. Right, there's a lot of different ways we can customize the way these shapes interact with each other, and this is how we get very complex and really cool looking graphics. Over here to the left, you notice I click on it on the graphic, and we get several things highlighted in blue. The blue highlight means that we have something selected, just if you haven't noticed as we've been clicking the objects. This one has to be completely, shows that it's completely selected all the little shapes. I'm not able to pull them apart. Well, what's going on is that these shapes are grouped together. If we go to Object, Group while it's still selected, you'll notice we have an option for also to ungroup. So if I hit ungroup, I should be able to come out and pick some of these apart. So there are ways, even though this is stacked, these graphics are created by placing them together, there are ways to actually group them so they act as one unit, which is very handy. Something that we'll go into more, especially for our first project, for the mandala project. Alright, so this is just a really brief introduction. You can play around with these if you want to. Before you head out of this one, I would also like you to go to the toolbar, go down to the rectangle tool, click and hold it, and I want you to notice that we have several different shape tools. If you want to, right now, I would like you to just go ahead and just experiment with them. Just select them, drag some out, play around with them. If you would like to change some of the colors, you can just simply go up here on the control panel. While you have the selection tool selected, select the object that you have created, and you can just edit the colors right here. Alright, we'll go into that further later, but now's the time to play. Alright.